I'd like to call the meeting, the annual 2014 convention of the Green Party of Hawaii State Convention to order at 1:53. Welcome, everyone. We're running a little bit late, but we have co-chair. My name is Mark Van Dorn. I'm state co-chair. We have the other state co-chair, Nikki Lananda, on here via computer. Welcome, everyone. Let's see. Who else do we have on computer, Bob? Anybody else?
Cedric.
Cedric is also here.
Gates from Hawaii.
Cedric Gates.
If anyone hasn't signed in, okay. Somebody talking to you?
No.
Is that Nikki?
Mark has the chair, so feel free to speak.
I cannot hear. The meeting's been called to order, and we're just reminding anyone who hasn't signed in, please do so. If you are a member, get a ballot, make sure you voted, okay? I'm gonna we had name tags, but we can't find them, so I'm gonna just introduce myself. Mark Van Dorn, state co-chair.
Bob Jacobson, recorder.
Carrie Marks, observer.
Donald Wessels, observer.
Jeff Turner. Jeff
Tre-
Turner's membership chair.
Membership chair and treasurer of the National Party, Jeff. Okay.
Treasurer of the National Party.
I think you are a member.
Who else do we have?
Because then we'll have to take, did you get the manner?
Guest.
Yeah. We'll have to take you off and just straighten it out. Okay.
Ruth Larkin, I'm a member, signed up member.
Renee Default, I'm a guest and an official FDA whistleblower. Great
Jeff.
notoriety.
Jeff Moore, guest.
Jim?
Oh, Jim Brewer from the Green Party.
Often a candidate for office.
Julie Jacobson, treasurer of the Hawaii Green Party.
Nick Owens, also known as Doll. Just a guest.
Thank you all. And we are working on determining a quorum right now. We need 10% of the membership.
We have 10 members here right now.
And we have
Wait,
12 ballots.
and 12 ballots.
Bob
Okay.
said we need 10% of the members.
So that gives us 22 members because we've previously counted votes to attend. We counted the votes as quorum in the past.
We have.
And we have about 102 members right now, and we need 10% quorum. And so counting Nikki and Cedric, we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 actually.
Okay.
We have 11 members present, so I think we're okay for the quorum. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We have determined that we have a quorum for the Green Party Hawaii 2014 convention. I'm going to move on to number 4. We're going to review the proposed Green Party Hawaii convention agenda. Okay, does anybody have any discussion or amendments to consider on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on. And by consensus, I'm going to say we have approved the agenda. We have approved the agenda. Nikki, anything, Nikki? If you can't hear me, call me, Nikki. I'm going to assume that we approve the agenda. Number 6, we're going to review the minutes of last year's convention, the 2013 Green Party of Hawaii convention, and amend it as needed. I've passed out the minutes. If we could just take a minute, if you can look them through them real quick. That's one of the 3 pages you got. I know it's very comprehensive.
Yeah.
Hello? All right.
You've been hearing us before this, right? I haven't changed.
Oh, I see.
Well,
That's not our microphone.
do you have a speaker setting?
It's turned all the way up here. It's turned all the way up.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
That's right. Can we leave this on, Nikki?
Okay.
on.
It's on, so we're working on it.
Need to post the link.
Just talk to him.
We're trying to establish communication with Nikki, our understate official.
Hey Nikki,
He's
thank you
on
for
the
the phone.
So
Sorry, I could
while we're
not
doing
post
this,
the link,
please
but if
review
you
the minutes.
Google Ustream Occupy Hilo, you should find it, and it is live.
And I'll start with a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, we
Not
have
live
a motion to approve the
stream.
minutes. Do we have a second?
Capital U
Second.
Stream.
We have a motion, we have a second to approve the minutes. Should we wait for Nikki?
Not live stream.
Let's wait for Nikki.
Maybe
Ustream. Capital U S T
No, we'll
R
move
E
right
A
along
M.
after this.
Capital U S T R E A M. It's
Okay, we're
Ustream.
gonna, consider the minutes of last year's convention approved. If Nikki has any amendments, we can, add that later.
Oh, they've already been approved.
Oh, they have, okay.
The county level. This is the group.
Got it, okay.
Sorry.
All right. Number 7, we're gonna review the minutes of the last,
Going.
teleconference.
Ustream.
And that was,
The letter U. Yep. Yes, sir. Yep. So you
I'm not
have
sure. Let me
search
take a look.
Occupy Hilo Ustream.
Minutes.
Occupy Hilo Ustream.
Did you send out minutes on the
No, we didn't, the board approved them before, but I didn't send them to this group. We voted on them back,
All right. Are there any objections to the minutes of the last teleconference, which would just be Jeff, Bob,
Okay, I'm putting
Julie,
on
and
speaker
myself?
so you can hear.
and I
Jeff,
sent-
any
you've seen
corrections?
it before, Jeff, we approved these, like,
You okay with the minutes of the last teleconference, Jeff? Okay, by consensus, we're gonna approve the minutes of the last GPS teleconference, coordinate committee teleconference. Number 8, committee reports. I'll go ahead with mine, and then we'll get back to Nikki in just a second.
No, I'm sorry.
I
I was
was
watching.
wondering how we are going with Nikki.
he went outside.
Okay.
He is having a hard time typing in the right letters on his computer.
All right. Well, basically, it's been a quiet year. This is my report. I have not had much time to devote to the Green Party as I would like to. Of course, you know, struggling to survive like so many of us, and that's the main problem, I think, with membership, is that people are up to their teeth and trying to survive. But I'm committed to giving more time this upcoming year as it becomes more and more important to be a member of the Green Party. So I'll do what I can. And that's about it. I'm doing the best I can, but I can do better. I know I can, and I'll try and be more active in the coming year. Membership, Jeff?
Matt did a workshop in March
No, you have not.
called Survival.
Yeah.
I'm having a house foreclosed.
Oh,
I'm moving. But I strive to get us on Nation Builder, and I haven't been at that for 4 months. I've been working 100 hours a week at tax season.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna put you back on.
I'll try and do better. And I spend too much with the National, like 15 hours a week.
that's a lot on your plate.
So I've neglected you. I apologize.
Don't apologize, we're all doing the best we can. I'd like to add that one thing I've been able to do is respond to people, new members. We do have a website, and we can talk about that later, but I've been responding to people that respond to us on the computer, and I try to write that.
I'm the speaker now.
Thank you, Jeff.
I just grabbed the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. Next is Julie with the treasurer's report.
Well, I'm standing here, I might as well give it from here. Hi, we're not a rich party. Our assets pretty much have been in the, usually in the 3 digits to the left of the decimal. We got up a little from that. But just as a summary, most of this would be from 2013, which we had a total income that was basically membership and dues of $345. And then for 2014, and that's as of today, that it's $355. However, this doesn't include on the people who sent their ballots with their renewed memberships, and there's 12 pieces of mail that include some combination of ballots and checks. So that would add in to it. We'll see what that does to it. And we'll open this today and find that out today. The expenses for 2013 were $413, and that's basically last year's rental. We based it on the number of people, was $28 for this building for our whole afternoon meeting, and that's cheaper than almost anywhere else you can get. We spent $125 to Lance Collins, who's an attorney who's working on, and there'll be more about this from Keiko later, but about her elections lawsuit about whether her opponent was eligible to vote, basically. And you'll learn more about it. She's just decided to be a candidate again. But our expenses in 2014, and again, this is just as of today, are $140. So the only two things we needed to spend money on so far this year is, and they were just required, I think required things. We reimbursed the registration fees for whoever we decide goes to becomes our delegates at the national convention. We pay the registration fee. We have, when we had more money, we have put in some to transportation, but we haven't done that in recent years. That registration was $90 for Nikhil Lanana last year. And then we are reimbursing him $50 for costs that he incurred putting on the presentation of Maui's Move to Amend with David Cobb. And I won't take time to tell you about that, but that's, we think it's an important cause. It was something we helped out on with organization and all that, and we worked with Global Hope on that. The approximate cost, just to give you an idea for this convention, are about, well, we estimate about $225 for postage. Some of our stamps we bought before, they were lower rates, some we had to buy them. We buy forever stamps, but exactly, so I can't give you real precise about that. And then we bought paper and envelopes, and then we also, and we'd estimate a little higher, $40, just based on not knowing what the attendance would be. And then all of our campaign spending commission reports were filed on time. And I have to give a kudos to Bob, who, because of his much higher advanced computer skills, seems to have that program and working with the state now, so he actually inputs that material. You can review it online or a paper copy of it today if you want, and going back to 2008. And this is more of a statement than an actual budget here, but I'm just sort of going to give you a summary of this. I feel that since we have only $653 today in the Treasury, plus our new membership and renewals, that we need to be judicious in our budgeting and spending. Last year, our Treasury had, at this time, $461. So without a significant fundraising effort, this is about what our membership renewals and about our rate of memberships gives us, keeps us in this general range. So without significant fundraising, we can continue to do what we are, and I think successfully and well. And this is basically to complete these things that we're required to do by law. If we don't do a lot of these certain things and we don't get our reports in, we're in violation. And just to give you one quick example, I think this was 2010. We thought we were really proud of ourselves. We put our campaign spending report in a few days early and thought everything was fine. We thought we met their deadline. And then a couple days later, I went to the mailbox and got a letter and said that we had a fine of $300 a day. And I went, oh, we're 2 days into it and our treasury has $600 and they've just fined us all $600. And tomorrow will be $300 in debt and the next day will be. And so anyway, but we basically had conversations with them and were able to persuade them that no more money came in. That was our last report. That was accurate that day and would be accurate the next day, and we got out of it. But these kind of things come up. But anyway, to move on, if we wanted to do more activities, we would have to raise more money. And that's a kind of more of a philosophical debate about whether you want the party to be more well endowed and do more, either for growing our awareness and our membership or for helping our candidates. But that's about it. Are there any questions? And Jeff, it could be we got to the bottom of that one person's you were inquiring about, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your hard work, Julie. Thank you, that was an excellent report.
So, thank you.
Let's go to, is Nikki capable of giving a report?
I think we have to get on the, you muted this, so unmute it.
Okay. Hang on.
Speaker.
Put this setting, hang on. Just a second.
On the side?
Down. Nikki?
There's an on off button on the side.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Turn it on.
Okay, Nikki, if you can hear us, we're trying to get you on speakerphone. You're gonna have to mute your... Yeah, turn down your computer and I can put you on the speaker here so the room can hear you. Okay? You're on speaker now.
Aloha everybody, and thank you for working on this 21st century technology. We have a work to work out. Thank you for everyone that's there. I want to thank everybody, all the officers and all the members of the Green Party. Hopefully we can keep on building up support. Sadly, the Green Party in the state has not had an elected official for a number of years. Everybody on their own situation works on trying to build a party. I'm sure that people have found when you go to various meetings, you mention the Green Party and you talk to people progressives and the environmentalists, etc. They always seem to, like, for example, we have a great candidate here who's running as a Democrat. She says she's an environmental Democrat. So somehow we still need to work on the mindset for people to understand that there is an alternative out there when they go to the polls. But of course, if there's no candidate, there's no alternative. Now, coincidentally, yesterday they had the viewpoint in our daily paper, the Maui News, which has about 40,000 circulation, and it talked about keeping the Green Party on the ballot and there were progressive changes that we need. And to any of the meetings that I go to here, there's a big movement towards, some of you might have heard the Shopper movement, many initiatives on the ballot. I've gone to numerous meetings with veterans of the groups, always mentioning the Green Party exists, and I get quite a number of commentary from people. So again, we've been working on it for now 22 years here in Hawaii about the Green Parties out there. We still need much more to do, and that's just a challenge that all of us have to all have an opportunity to let us get the Green Party thing out. That's my take on the Green Party. To set up this conference and our annual convention, we sent out press releases all over the state, and the ones that I'm aware of here in Maui in our daily paper posted a notice about the convention. Also, there's a on the campaign trail, and I just encourage everybody, whenever possible, reach out to all the free media, and that will again keep our name out. It's like reaching the 100th monkey. At some point, people, there's statistics and surveys that show that people really set up the two-party system, but they don't know about an alternative. Here in Hawaii, we now have a new Hawaii Independent Party, but it's only in name only. And this isn't the time or place to talk about that. So again, I just encourage people to still be attempting to keep our name out, work for getting people. The other one, too, as far as membership, you can see we're very well attended here. Hawaii is one of the few states where you don't have to be a member of the party to vote in the primary. Many states you have to be either registered for a party or for you to be able to pull a ballot. So again, there isn't a necessity for people to be a member of a party, and I'm sure you've discovered the same things I have, that people continually say, oh, I don't want to be a member of the party, I want to vote for the individual. So again, it's important to let people know the difference. The other one is that a number of the officers, I think 4 out of the 5 current remaining committee officers serve as either delegates or delegates to the national committee. We've had over 1,500 emails back and forth of just deciding right verbiage for a mission statement. So when we have discussions here about dotting a T or crossing an I or how to do things, the national committee generally goes back and forth where on minutia and the needy items, you really did it perfect. And we have an incredible, if you haven't visited the national site, the national email site, just look at our platform. It really is, the bylaws are, it's really brilliant. And we're going to have a discussion soon about our bylaws. And again, I think it's important for us to respect the bylaws and understand that people work for many, many years to keep them the way they are. You need to alter them a little. Again, I think that's enough for a report. I really appreciate everybody that was there and that we were able to get this connection. I want to, by the way, I want to thank Terry for setting up the live stream because for some reason Skype, which we thought would work, there's no volume there. And so I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. So right now I'm talking on a regular phone line, but I'm viewing it through live stream. So Terry is there. Everybody really owes her a gratitude and thank you for establishing the live stream. And thank you very much. Rose, I can see you sitting there, and nice to see you. Aloha.
Thank you, Nikki. Well done, well done, well said. That does it for committee reports. Except for the secretary clerk's report, Bob Jacobson. Pardon me.
Okay, well, I act as the recorder, but it's also named as secretary. So there's a few issues that came up over this year. I've tried to stay on top of some of the announcements and some of the communication.
Bob, can you put don't closer, Bob? I can't hear him.
Yes.
We have a few issues that I have to deal with this year, and this has been a pretty good year in terms of most things getting done. I was able to join the bylaws, rules, and policies and procedures committee this year, and unfortunately that committee is not run according to some of the precepts of openness, and so Mike Feinstein tried to work with me to get a mission statement on the ballot, and the head of that committee refused ever to follow any of the procedures. So that's been sort of frustrating. Although I have to say thanks to Nikki Lananda, we were able to get our platform requests to the main Green Party, the U.S. Green Party, and they are handling them, and we haven't heard much back from them, but I think that all of our announcements and desire to change that as we voted on last year's election are before them, whether they choose to do anything about it or not. We have first off, I have to apology to all of you, because unfortunately this year I didn't face up to the changing election laws as the duties of the recorder are required, and so I read about how Democrats and Republicans have changed some of their notifications, because this year we'll be closing nominations, filing deadlines for candidates is June 3rd. In previous years, it's been as late as July 25th. So some of the people who are used to waiting a little while to file are having problems not only with their own, but trying to qualify for Green Party approvals. And there'll be more of that discussion later in the meeting. But I failed to make some of the changes, or make some suggestions rather, in the bylaws that would help us bring us up to date. So we will need to work on that this coming year. Other issues, I think we're doing pretty well, and I have to just thank Jim Brewer again for reminding me to file some of the important data so we stayed on the ballot. And thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, point of information.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, Bob, half of your talk, I can see you not moving, but I cannot hear you, so I don't know if in your hand, you put your finger on the mute button or whatever, but you were talking about the national bylaws and being on the procedures rules committee, and then you heard Mike Feinstein. I missed everything after that. You mentioned about the platform, and then I missed everything after that, and what you just said now about keeping up on issues. I also missed that, so I don't know if you're putting your finger on a mute button or something, but if you could somehow.
He thanked Jim Brewer. Well, here, Bob. Careful.
I don't know where the mute button is.
There isn't one.
Where's, there must be a mic hole.
Well, evidently I'm
Speaker on,
Can you-
speaker off. If
Can you hear Nikki?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, basically, when we were voting on some of the mission statement in the bylaws, rules and policies and procedures, Mike actually had come up with a formal a proposal that should have been voted on, and that was ignored, which is rather unfortunate, because none of the policies were followed at the Green Party national level, which is very discouraging to me, and it led to a lot of infighting, and actually it just seems like 6 or 7 people are able to block the will of 470 at this point when it comes to editing. It's the tyranny of the minority at the moment. So Nikki and I may have a little bit different point of opinion, but when there's 1,500 emails regarding a 3 or 4 sentence mission statement, something's dysfunctional, in my opinion. And I'm hoping that something can come before us. There's a proposal 472 that was able to put 2 of the mission statements together because one of the people demanded that it be done that way, and that will be being voted on. And I have a hunch I'll be voting on, Julie will be voting for 472, because it does have some stuff done, but it was very discouraging, I have to admit. Beyond that, not a whole lot else is happening. Thanks to Jim Brewer, we did get some of our notifications for the state, so we're staying, our ballot access is cool. I think everything is going very well reporting wise. Did you hear any of that, Nikki?
Application 742, and you and I do agree, 1,500 emails about a 3-line mission statement. However, your description of my fine tonight, that was a little something to talk about.
Thank you, Bob. Now we'll move on to number 9. Election of Green Party Hawaii officers, delegates, and alternates to the Green Party of the United States, GPUS. Going to discuss the problem that Keiko cannot run due to her candidacy for House seat number 20. We're going to discuss the motion to nominate / write in Ramona Hussey or some other female to fill vacant female co-chair position. Okay, so I see. Go ahead, Nikki. What?
The person who is proposing a motion goes first, that's you.
Or they don't have to unless they want to.
I was just reading off of the agenda, Nikki.
Okay.
I'm not proposing anything at this moment.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, we checked the, we were just, Bob was just mentioning about the national bylaws, and for those who've been following the Green Party for Hawaii for the last couple of years, know that we've had our infighting about our own bylaws. They were written many years ago by people who spent hours and hours and hours. And there's some things that we can't follow. For example, we don't have county committees anymore. However, most of it we can. And the bylaws, section 9.4 and 4.3, and I'll get into them later if we need to. It's really clear. Keiko has not. That's the only time when she has to, at that point, resign as a officer. But she does automatically, as a candidate or an elected official, automatically serve as an ex-official member of the coordinating committee. For many years, I've been asking that we have write-ins. I'm very passionate about having write-ins on our ballot, which would avoid this, of course. And the majority of our coordinating committee is against having write-ins. So we had a ballot that was closed already. Now, Keiko, I think it's great that she wants to run, and it's a last-minute thing. But by following our bylaws, it's very clear that where there's a vacancy, that's what 4.3 and 4.4 speak about. I think that we need to go ahead to people who already voted, and some people have sent in their ballots. I am one of them. And so, at this late date, to unilaterally, it's exactly what Bob was talking about on the national committee, that a small group wants to affect a greater, for the greater Green Party. Now, of course, we don't have that many members, and it might be a mini point. But to me, what I recommend, and I totally support Ramona, I think that's how most of the coordinating committee is not on Facebook. But that's something I forgot to mention on my report. On Facebook, there are hundreds of people in Hawaii, thousands of people, of course, millions around the world who are on Facebook. And we get quite a number of hits on the Green Party of Hawaii and the Green Party of Hawaii. There's 2 Green Party sites. been involved for 20 some odd years. In talking to her, she mentioned that Keiko decided she wants to run and just unilaterally call Ramona. It just doesn't feel kosher to do that way. So for me, I really feel that we should go ahead and count the ballots. After the ballots, like right now, we encourage to have one male and one female co-chair. For the last few years, we have not done that. And for example, one of the other members of our boarding committee was unaware of our bylaws. I really recommend everybody who's going to be an officer to really read the bylaws and respect them. Again, I agree with what Bob said about the bylaws on a national level. I also agree with that on a state level. So to me, the way to deal with this is very simple. We just count the ballots as they are now. When Keiko files her paper, she might change her mind again. Those who know Keiko know that. It goes back and forth, back and forth. Once her she's going to run for governor. So if she decides to file her papers at that time, then she needs to be removed as an officer, but she does stay as an official member of the coordinating committee. And the other members of the coordinating committee, with consultation from other Green Party members who might be interested, and at that point we might find someone else, someone new, someone fresh who wants to get involved. So it's not, I'm not speaking against Ramona, I'm not speaking against Keiko, I'm again speaking about what we did 2 years ago where we decided to suspend our bylaws because it's convenient to do that, and I just don't think it's necessary. So my recommendation is to go ahead and count the ballots. After that, of course, we'll mark them on the ballot. At that point, I might not be one of the co-chairs, and then people can do as they wish. But that's my feeling about this. All of a sudden, a unilateral suggestion by one person to decide that we just put somebody on the ballot. So I hope that was clear. If there's any questions or clarifications, I'm fine to respond to that.
Nikki, it's Mark. You said when Keiko files, I've been informed that Keiko has already filed. Does that nullify her as a candidate?
I'm not sure if she's filed. There's nothing on record that she has filed. If she has filed, I would have to go, I can look at the bylaws, and, but the vote is already done. It was closed. We had a date and it was closed. At that point, she cannot then, if she filed, if she pulled the papers, she's not a candidate. If she filed, then, and when I went to the website today, she hasn't filed the papers yet, so she's not filed. Now, I could be wrong because she could have filed, and it didn't get, the slowness of our, of the state office of elections. So at that point, we already mailed out our ballots, we asked for nominations, Keiko all of a sudden said she wanted to get more involved and wanted to be a co-chair female, at which point one of our coordinating committee members wanted that we actually have that in our bylaws. So there's nothing definitive that she has filed, and since we've already done the election, like I said, our bylaws are really clear. At the point that an officer needs to resign, or they can be removed by a 3/4 vote of the party, an officer also, we have that. And at that point, we can then send out nominations to all the membership, including Ramona, and then at that point, appoint co-chair.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. I'm pretty much inclined to go along with what you're saying. We just had some information that Keiko had already filed. We're trying to get her on the phone to ask her point blank if she has filed. But if we can't find out the information. So for a minute, while we, Julie's trying to get Keiko on the phone, why don't we talk about this? Is it currently, the second part of number 9 on the agenda, which is to discuss the motion to nominate / write in Ramona Hussey or some other female to fill vacant female co-chair position. Bob?
So I did read every word of the bylaws the other day, and if a person is filed, they can't run. I myself just voted today, and also when I looked at the bylaws, there's nothing that disallows write-ins. So when I voted today, I wrote in Ramona Hussey, because there's no rules against that. When it came back earlier, I tried to look at all this, that the only person who would be suffering from adding somebody onto the ballot at this point would be Ramona, because we closed the ballot on the 18th of April, so only those people would be on the ballot that would be available for the mail-in. But our convention allow for voting at the convention. So the person who is most penalized by not being nominated earlier is Ramona. But I would suggest that since she has one vote for me, unless there's somebody else who wrote in another person, I would suggest that she was likely to be elected. I yield the floor.
Jim Burr.
The thing is that I know a couple of people who women who I would like to approach.
Did you get approval in advance though?
Go ahead, Jim.
I see the thing is, when the general membership knows about this change with KECO and whatnot. I don't know, did everybody know, was everybody notified that KECO?
Had filed?
Right.
No.
Okay,
She called
so she became.
3 days ago.
That's what I'm saying, she became a non-candidate, she's not a candidate anymore, right? But she was the person that we pre-notified everybody that she was gonna be the candidate. Now, was everybody pre-notified that Ramona Hussey was going to? In other words, shouldn't there have been something sent out so that other people in the membership would know? Because the thing is, it's just like Ramona gets it now by a write-in, but nobody was notified that they could be candidates. And I'm thinking about a very young person who's very active and on a walk. And so the thing is that I just don't, there's something wrong with this. It just doesn't sit well.
In fairness, I understand what you mean. Somebody else perhaps would want to. I'm passing the phone around. Jeff Turner wants to speak. Nikki, can you hear me?
Yes, Jeff, you're clear to me. That's exactly, people could not speak until the phone is right in front of them. Jeff, I think you're clear to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'm generally in support of your proposal that we have an election that's been underway for a few weeks and we count the ballots and see who wins. And then we follow whatever procedures there are for a replacement if and when that occurs.
Julie, did you want to speak? I think Julie was on stack.
He wants to speak. I go next, but if he prefers to go next, that's fine.
Nikki, go ahead and Nikki, why don't you go ahead and speak, and then I'm going to have Julie have the floor. Go ahead, Nikki. I'm going to pass the phone to Julie.
Okay, well, I feel like we were just, put in this position by circumstances, and so we're all trying to come up with the best solution, and then also try to be, do something that we either, whether we have to suspend the bylaws or not. I don't consider myself sort of that procedural expert to determine that, but I think if I were just to look at the practical realities, KECO notified us when she couldn't serve that Ramona Hussey was willing to, so she took the initiative to settle that. And then at this point, it seems to me like, and whether we're suspending the bylaws to do it, or whether we do it as a write-in vote, but that Ramona Hussey is one person, and the only other way this party could get any other applicants that we could get a final answer, yes or no, will you take it? Because we have had the problem of people getting elected and then saying, no, I didn't want to do that. We've had people elected that weren't sure they were going to do it and then decided to. But so would be to open it up to the women here. Well, I think there's two possibilities. Open it up to the women here as well as Ramona and go for a vote about it. I had thought you might propose, which to me would be another, as far as democracy and all of that, a legitimate way would be to say, well, we do have two co-chairs that have done the job together for a long time, and probably will both get, usually in the last years when they've been elected, they each get a similar number of votes. And so we could say that we will suspend elections and go with the two existing candidates. That's another approach. whether the group as a whole feels strongly that we want to include a woman, it's kind of a philosophical question. I have mixed feelings on it, actually. But that's, to me, the route, the choices to go and how you legally do it, bylaws-wise and all of that, whether you suspend. But I think this group could make a grassroots vote on those, basically, 3 proposals. We gather women candidates, including Ramona. We vote on them. We just vote on them. We go by with the 2 we got. Or I do not really support the idea of leaving the whole seat open and going and looking for people. And to be honest with you, I learned that Ramona brings the history of being in this party before I thought the party even existed, back in the 80s. So to me, she's sort of a vetted green, and new people, aren't as vetted in the party, and they're not as maybe vetted in, the duties of this are not glamorous. They're sort of tedious and technical, and none of us are. So I hate to get someone into it who doesn't really know what they're doing. I'm sorry, I've gone on too long, but that's it for me.
Am I correct
Quick
that,
comment,
excuse me,
quick comment.
Jeff
Oh,
Turner?
I forgot that.
To add to Julie's list of alternatives, we've had all male leaders of this group for a long time, so we could just have only women co-chairs for 10 years and get even here. No, I think that's too many options. I think we need to follow the bylaws, count the ballots, and be done. Here, Mark.
Wait, I'd like to make a comment too.
Okay, Jim Burr spoke first. Jim Burr is going to speak, and then Nikki.
My suggestion is that we just simply send out a notice like we did before, and see who comes in, because I would like to have a chance to talk to some people, and I think they'd be very good for this party, new blood and whatnot, but very dedicated, very good organizers. So anyway, that's my thought. Just do another mailing.
Yes.
One candidate, one.
Okay.
And then the
Nikki?
nomination and mail.
Yeah.
Great. I want to underline my total agreement with you, Brewer, which is great, Jim, and Jim Turner. Usual has been happening, so that's great. I listened to Julie, and actually, I said I was going to recommend that Julie, before you came up with this issue, that Julie maybe become
Welcome back.
chair and either replace Mark or I, and that Jim Turner, who's the national treasurer, could also be the treasurer. So that was the suggestion I had, but it didn't come from anyone. The other one is that I've been a broken record for years suggesting we have a write-in, and I've been firmly said absolutely not. Now to hear someone recommending we do a write-in and really someone saying it on a ballot when there's no space for it, then I've asked that for years. I just find it shocking, but it's maybe the first time. So I underline what Jeff said, I underline what Jim said. It would be great to get a new fresh blood, someone who also then learns the bylaws, reads the bylaws, learns a little bit about the history, and this has nothing against Ramona. At this point, I totally support Ramona. I've talked to her a few times, and she's very active on Facebook, which again, most everybody else, other people there, are not on Facebook. So you don't see the kind of discussion of Julie, Jeff, to see the discussion on the national Green Party site, the discussion on the bylaws. I think Ramona's very active here. We've had a lot of discussion. So this is no way a comment against Ramona. I want to underline that. I spoke to her yesterday. We've had a problem. Every active green is on the big island. It's a couple on Oahu and myself on Maui. And the other person on Maui who's very active, who's a Green Party member, she's totally active in all these other things, Shaka and this playground and a haiku community. But she's very active and says to me, I just don't have time right now for the Green Party. She ever got involved. She is an incredible organizer, but she's got her hands full, plus she's got a couple of kids. So, again, I really think that there's no space on the ballot for a write-in. It's been said over and over again, so it's any write-in really
Thank you, Nikki. So if we go ahead and just count the ballots and Keiko is elected and then files for office, then she's removed, then we're gonna have an opening that we could fill with a woman, correct?
Is that a directed question to me or someone else?
Well, to anyone, but I believe, is that not true?
That's true.
The bylaws, I hope that sometime, Mark, you actually.
I have read the bylaws, Nikki. I'm just asking. I don't want to lecture on the bylaws.
Now, it says that we, it's an encouragement, I can get the actual verbiage right here, but,
He didn't answer the question, it was non-responsive.
we encourage that we have.
He either answered the question or
It's
not.
not required, and many years ago when you became a co-chair, that was part of the thing, is that we said, you know, there isn't any other woman, Renee didn't want to be a chair, Julie didn't want to be a chair, those were the activists at the time. So, yes, we can replace the other chair, if Keiko gets elected with a male or a female.
That was all I was asking, Nikki. Thank you. We could replace the open space. Julie, next.
Okay, I would like to bring this back to some practical realities again. We send out, and this is a pretty similar pattern over the years, over 100 ballots to people. We got, besides those of us who were already in office and self-nominated ourselves, we got one nomination, and that was Ramona Hussey nominating Keiko. That's from mailing out, and we know it costs, I think we came up with about $225 for each mail. Each time you vote, it costs that, because first you have to send out a request for nominations, then you get, well, maybe it's a little less if we didn't include an envelope for the vote, a stamped envelope for the voting, so we might cut some portion of this. But, you know, to spend, let's cut that in half, even if it's $100, by the time you send out to get nominations, you get your nominations back, you then put out a ballot and vote, then we know we got about mailed in, how many? 12. No, yeah, no, that was, for nominations we got 12, and this has about 15, 16, 18 votes back out of this 100. So every time we spend that much on postage, not very many people participate, and that's just the facts of the matter. Now, would we be sending out literature about these people? And to me, if anyone was already a member, this asking them again, they already had, every member on our list, a chance to self-nominate. So if we ask them just a second time if they self-nominate, I don't expect we'll get a lot more. Now, it is true Jim has a few members that we weren't aware of, so he has a few people he could ask. But is that worth a major mailing? And also the loss of leadership at the time. I mean, I feel like the two practical solutions really are to accept Ramona and anyone else in this room that would like to run for that position, or to let the two gentlemen, I mean, unless one of you has 0 votes, then I wouldn't think it's a good idea. But I'm assuming you'll each have some votes, and then we count those, and the two of you can continue in leadership, and we'll try again next year. Those are the two practical solutions, that we do not owe blowing a third of our treasury on a vote for one individual, that will have maybe, you know, if we're, I don't even know why you'd expect as good a turnout as our general election, to have maybe mail-in of, you know, less than 20 ballots. I stand firmly opposed to that. I think that we've got at least 2 viable options to have good leadership. We've had good leadership. I think we can continue to have good leadership, whether it's with one or both of you boys, men, excuse me, with one of the women that would come through. Thank you very much.
Can I just ask something, please, point of order? This is Ruth Larkin. I just wanted to know, is it legal to do it electronically? You know, I mean, could you do like a Survey Monkey type thing and have people vote electronically, or is that illegal? Because that would save you postage and all this drama.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Next.
Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, I would just like to say one thing, it's electronic thing. Bruce is still talking on the live stream, so it's like about 30 seconds. So I Ruth. And I called you the other day, I didn't get a call back, just as for information. I actually agree with most of what Julie said. There was one or two points that I didn't, but first of all, following up what Rick said about electronically. No one is recommending a mailing. No one is recommending ballots. No one is recommending anything. We already have a ballot. We already sent it out. People already voted. There's a good opportunity, a good possibility. Well, one of them, Mark and I will not be chair after the vote. That's fine. That's so it's a change. Then the other chair, if she has filed, then as it says in our bylaws, she then shall, S-H-A-L-L, resign. Then the coordinating committee is the people who assign the new chair. We don't send it out for mailing, so that saves all of the, which Julie is totally right. We don't need to mail it out. We can send things out via email and phone calls to say, do you have anyone that you think would be a good chair? Because again, it takes someone who understands the history of the Green Party, and as Jim mentioned, is also a good organizer to bring in new young people. So I agree with Jeff and Jim said earlier, and also what Julie said, and that is that we should just no room in our bylaws for write-in. Anyone that write-in, of course, is why you write-in, ballot is then thrown away. I don't think we're going to do that. There's no space on our printed ballots for write-in, even though ironically I've been asking for that for years.
Okay, let's stick to the point.
So I think we should just go ahead, count the ballots, and if Keiko, of course, she was the only candidate, she would be the chair. Someone can get in touch with her and see if she wants to be the chair, because she might have changed her mind about running. And if she doesn't want to be chair, she wants to resign automatically, then the coordinating committee sets up a special meeting, which is in our bylaws, discusses, we get nominations from Jim, etc. And the 4 people, at that point, there'll be 4 coordinating committee members. So I did put in a plug that every county, and Jim, this is for you also, and Ramona, every county shall have 2 representatives. And the Green Party coordinating committee never follows that. And again, that's something I've been talking about for years.
Point of order.
Wrong, that's
Point of
wrong.
order.
My point of order comes next.
He's
I have my
talking about
question answered.
Being on the coordinating committee. So I think we should count the ballots, move on, get this over with, and then if Keiko does file at that point, then she cannot be a co-chair.
Okay, I'm gonna, right before I yield the floor to Jeff Turner, I want to remind people, please try not to repeat yourselves.
That's kind of what I was saying. I call a point of order. We're talking past each other and getting nowhere and guessing about the future. We have an election underway. We've had nominations. We have ballots. Count the ballots. I call for the counting of the ballots, and then we'll deal with an outcome and we'll move on. Period.
Oh, yes,
I
that's
have a point of inquiry, that's all. Did you determine, was it determined or not that Keiko was fired? Doesn't
It was
matter.
not determined.
Doesn't
She
matter.
told us.
Call for the question.
Doesn't matter, she's not in the station,
Excuse me, point of order, Jeff called for the question and I seconded it.
but, okay.
All right, Nikki, we're gonna hold you, we're gonna count the ballots. We're gonna move on and count the ballots.
Why don't we take well,
Julie?
I think we should have one person that's not on the ballot to sit with Dahl,
Yes.
do
We're
it, and
gonna-
then maybe we take a 5-minute break.
Okay,
Not
let's
a
take a
long
5-minute break. We're gonna assign someone independent to sit with Dahl, and we're gonna count the ballots. Okay, Nikki?
And in the future, when someone talks, Julie, again, I could hardly hear you. It's just a modern world. I'm on YouTube.
We're doing the best we can, Nikki. We're trying really hard. We're trying very hard to get the phone around to you. Okay, 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Nikki there? Nikki? Okay. The results are in, we're reconvening, and Dahl, the HACA secretary, office manager, is going to read the results. Okay?
And he's Jeff.
All right, we're reconvening, and the ballot's been counted. Thank you very much for your help. Dahl, thank you. And Dahl's going to read the results.
Okay, for female co-chair, we have 15 for Kiko Bonk and 1 for Ramona Hussey. For male co-chair, we have 4 for Nikki and 11 for Mark. For recorder, we have 16 for Bob and unopposed. For treasurer, we have 16 for Julie and unopposed. For member chair, we have 15 for Jeff and unopposed. For delegates, we have 15 for Julie, 7 for Nikki, and 6 for Jeff. And for alternate delegates, we have 8 for Nikki, 14 for Bob, and 4 for Jeff.
Thank you, Dahl. Thank you very much. Thanks for your work.
Yep.
Appreciate
Could
it.
you just
Hang on.
explain then of those GPUS? I know like 2 out of 3 get it, so just run through the 2 that got it in each of those. The 2 delegates and the 2,
The 2 top vote getters?
yeah.
Yeah, hang on, I didn't have you on speaker. Julia, what was that again?
I just want to know with those GPUS positions, just the top 2 of the delegates and the
Wait,
top.
you better start over, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I got the phone now, and this is actually a question to our vote tallier. I didn't get it. So who are the 2 delegates and who are the 2 alternates? Top 2 out of
Top 2.
3 in each.
Okay.
So who are
Top
they?
2 delegates are Julie and Nikki with votes 15 and 7 respectively.
That was Julie and Nikki as the top 2 delegates.
Okay, so 15 and 7. And
the alternates.
alternate delegates are Nikki and Bob with 8 and 14 respectively.
Alternate delegates are Nikki and Bob. May I ask who came in, may Nikki ask who came in 3rd on alternates?
Nikki came in 2nd on delegates, and Jeff came in
3rd.
It would have been.
3rd, but you can't be an alternate and a delegate.
Jeff
So
came in
Jeff would
3rd
be
on
The
alternates.
alternate.
Right,
Oh,
it's like being your own substitute
Bob,
teacher.
okay, do you want to repeat that?
Right.
So Nikki, you came in 2nd in the delegates, so it's you and Julie. Jeff came in 3rd, and since you're a delegate, you cannot serve as an alternate, so that Bob and Jeff are now the alternate.
Yeah, that was my only question, though I appreciate all the detail on who came in third for the alternate. But since I was a delegate, I was going to make a suggestion that the person who came in third is now the alternate, because I was elected as a delegate. It doesn't make a difference who came in first or second, if the delegates are alternates. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I want to make a suggestion, as Nikki has pointed out, that we are supposed to have a representative of each island on the board, correct? And I suggest that Nikki be the representative for Maui.
For the bylaws,
Yeah, go ahead, Nikki.
It's actually 2, there's a place that shall have a representative from the county and shall be appointed by the county committees. We don't have 2 committees, and that's one of the things that our bylaws change. I've just been rereading and
Stack.
during the break on bylaws and things. So, it's more than 2, and I would also suggest that if Jim Brewer was interested in making a representative on the coordinating committee, and we really need to review our bylaws, the alterations. The other one, since we have no official place for a write-in, vote for the female chair, it should be just Keiko, and that's it.
Bob?
I think that we need to just, can you hear me, Nikki?
Yeah,
I'm not doing anything. So, I, like all the rest of the coordinating committee, has read the bylaws, and I just reread them again very carefully the other day. So, who constitutes the state coordinating committee? There's some choices on how you establish county committees. And initially, the board, the governing board is supposed to appoint members of each,
For information, you're breaking up, it's closer to the same angle. I worked out with Jeff and Mark on the break. You just have to.
Okay, let's try this.
Make it clear.
Let's try this, Nikki. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
Nikki, are you Powell?
There was a point of information because I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, are you Powell now?
There was a point of information.
Are you Powell now, Nikki?
Nikki, can you hear it correctly now?
I can hear, he asked me if I'm out.
Okay, I know. Let's just start. I understand. And ask Bob if you could start over. Go ahead, Bob.
Reading section 3.3, who constitutes the state coordinating committee in our bylaws, it calls for co-chairs, recorder, treasurer, membership chair, and 2 persons representing each county committee. Well, since we don't have any county committees right now, because they chose not to appoint them, and it calls for the county representatives and alternate representatives shall be chosen by their respective county committee, or as otherwise provided by the bylaws of the respective county organization. I have a proposal, given the absence of any county committees, because there aren't 20 or more members on any of the islands interested in having a county committee, we should accept up to 2 members from each island to be on the state coordinating committee if the majority of that county's members agree to those appointments. And it would also say that you cannot serve as a coordinating committee member that's elected as well as a county representative. You can only have 1 vote per person. But I think, oddly enough, I'm somewhat in agreement with you, Nikki, that we do need to have more members from other islands if they are properly selected by their islands on the coordinating committee. I would encourage each of the islands from here on, and each one of us, to think about how we're going to choose those people given the absence of any county committees. Thank you, I yield.
All right, perhaps we can nail that down via a teleconference soon. We have Jeff Turner who would like to speak.
Yeah, this is a problem we've had for a while. We all know we need to work on our bylaws, so I propose that we charge the state coordinating committee to do that with anybody else that wants to help, and have a draft and air it around, because we aren't going to solve it by talking about it. We need to get it in writing, we need to air it around, we get the feedback, and we need to update our bylaws. They were written in 1992 and 3. They're obsolete. That's a specific proposal.
Thank you. Okay, that was seconded by Nikki. So, is that something we can work on in a teleconference?
I think so.
Or
Or
getting
in writing,
nods?
or,
Nods
I just
approval.
said that
Yeah.
the leadership committee is charged with that project
Yes,
for the year.
okay, all right. That is something we will take a high priority on working on then. Okay?
I don't think we need to vote on that, do we?
Any
I don't-
opposed?
Pardon me?
Any opposed? Is there
Any opposition to
consensus?
that idea? Then that's consent. We shall move on to GPUS discussion. Who would like to read the lead? I'm sorry, Julie?
Did we resolve what we're doing about
Okay,
Ramona Hussey?
hold on, I want Nikki to be included on this, hold on. Go ahead.
Did I miss this, or are we still up in the air on the Keiko and Ramona?
We're saying that Keiko is a valid candidate. That's what the majority of
Keiko has
people
been
say.
elected, so we'll have to see if,
So
you
we're
know.
not
She'll have to
late.
Okay,
resign.
right? Okay.
And Ramona will get it? Or she's
No, we'll just follow the bylaw.
Okay, next is Green Party of the United States discussion. Who would like to lead that? Anyone? Does anyone have any comments on the GPUS?
You want me to speak?
Jeff Turner is getting drafted, and then Jim Brewer would like to speak.
So I would ask if anyone has any questions about what's going on in the National Committee first, and I'll try and answer.
Why don't you just announce the annual meeting and
Okay.
specifics and-
So, Nikki, Julie just asked an announcement of the annual meeting. It's July about 24, 5, 6, 7 or so in St. Paul, Minnesota. It's the site of an important formative meeting 30 years ago. It's the 30th anniversary commemorative meeting in the same place where folks came together and kind of formalized getting this going. There's differences of opinion that maybe there was a couple of other meetings, a couple of other starts or false starts earlier elsewhere, but this is the one that really pulled it together and started what became the Green Party of the United States, though it's been through some iterations of committees of correspondence. And then,
Can you move the phone?
pardon me?
Go ahead, keep speaking.
And then it was called, what was it called? GPUSA, and then it morphed into the Green Party of the United States in 2001. So this will be a kind of a fun meeting. They're inviting some people back from that 30th meeting. Anything else for anybody want to know?
Any questions? Thank you, Jeff. Jim Brewer?
Well, can you hear me, Nikki?
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Okay, I'd just like to put some really positive things on the table here. First of all, I think that we had a great presidential candidate years. I mean, we had people that were groomed and developed in the party. Jill Stein has shown that she is capable of being president. Sherry Hunkala, we know her. She makes a connection between the environmental and issues affecting working families. And we just had 10 days, or was it 14 days from Earth Day to May Day, the convergence. And this is the main thing that it does, in my opinion, is it makes it so it is bringing labor and green together. And so often now we've got these labor leaders who continually try to pit their membership against the environment. And it's because they're in the pocket, I believe, of corporate America. And they've been corporatized. And anyway, this is just a great development. The convergence, there were so many parties all across the country. We didn't, I don't think, get involved in that, but we should next time, for sure. And we shouldn't let these things pass. Jill, there's a couple of things that operate coincidental with the Green Party. They're not officially Green Party. One of them is the every year, off year democracy convention. I went to that last year in Madison, Wisconsin, and it was great. And it's basically the same. They're mainly Green Party people, and then we have. Let's see what.
Sorry.
Well, the point I was making was I'm brain dead from all this activity the last couple of days. But the convergence. Oh, the other thing that I think that I would like to see some people discuss, at least at this thing, if some party doesn't take it as a resolution or whatnot, is ask. Oh, the other thing is the coincidental thing with the shadow government, the green shadow government. And what you have is you have people who are volunteering so that when we have a presidential candidate running, developed from the Green Party and whatnot, there's also a whole group of people who are capable of stepping into Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, etc., etc. This shows that the Green Party is getting really serious, and it's a great development. And so that's the two things: the convergence and the the other thing too is that you can't wait until the presidential election year to nominate the president and the vice president. It should be done this year. It should be done this year, and then we have the candidates. We don't have money, but we have time that way. So we can use that time to actually build a real opposition at the national level and hopefully win some stuff. Anyway, those are the points I wanted to make.
Excellent, Jim. I hope you're right about the convergence of labor and green.
Back to Jeff. Two things. One follow-up on what Jim said. Jill Stein reported last year in a debriefing of her campaign that they spent more than half their money and most of their time getting ballot access. And by that time, to qualify for the matching funds and getting it, it was the 1st of October, and there wasn't much time left. And so that has and Nikki, you probably know this, but for the guests in the room, that has stimulated several things. The Ballot Access Committee has a plan from now through 2016 of how to get on the ballot in 45 states, and they priced it at about $200,000, so we got some work to do. We haven't ever raised that much spare money in the budget. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up, of a couple of people here have lamented how invisible we are, and there is a group of people, especially led by Karen Young out of New York, that have led a process of having a strategic plan. It's in process. Pieces will be proposed and adopted, and that's sticky politics with Greens. But meanwhile, they're proceeding ahead with some of the things in that plan, and one of them is branding. We've retained a guy named Niles Kelly, who resides in Amsterdam, but he's a U.S. citizen, to take us through a branding process. I've been in on some online, all kind of charrettes, answering questions. He sounds very professional. He has set out some ideas. Last week, the steering committee selected one that was pretty much consensus, that's the best one. So we're going to have a new logo, a new look, specific Pantone color scheme that will give us a fresh start in the 21st century of what Greens look like in publicity. And it will be a variety of things that are tied together that states can follow but modify slightly for their local use, and we want everything to begin building a brand identity, and it looks pretty interesting, and I hope that inspires folks that are frustrated that we're here in the same place we were 10 years ago, that there's a good effort to kickstart us. I think the time is right. People are increasingly dissatisfied with the current politics and the gridlock in Washington. There are, the polls say that everybody's ready for something else, this ain't working, and we need to step out, and this little part is underway. It'll be finished in mid-June. All of our merchandise in the online store will be logoed and identified, so there'll be some new things coming soon. Cass.
Sounds great, some optimism. Hey,
Oh, yeah,
Jim Burr.
well, okay, this is a different thing. I mean, it's more local. And that is, on Oahu, there's 4 of us who are all basically committed to the Green Party as our future. And we've been trying to figure out how that we can make everything that we do actionable, and that we actually get people involved and get going. We have a master plan that we're working out, and so we like to, I brought something, our Earth Day 2013 kind of gave a general outline of what we're trying to do. But one of the main things that we're trying to do is we're trying to break down that thing between the environmentalists and labor. In other words, this is what we say: if you read the 10 principles, it is the most beautiful thing you've ever read in your life. You come away feeling just proud to be a Green. But the only thing is, there's nothing that says what to do. And so what we have done is condense that down into 4 things. And that is that the Green Party Green Party members are defenders of democracy. Green Party members are protectors of the planet. Green Party members are patriots for peace. And number 4, the Green Party members are activists for shared prosperity. And then what happens with this is this last one is where we, the 4 that are involved in this, we all come from working class things, and we consider the working class people who work for a paycheck. There are also people who are small business and who are self-employed employees, you know, and then also, then you have all these other things like adjunct professors. They're destroying our universities and whatnot by privatizing them and then using cheap labor by not giving tenure, which means the professors cannot speak their mind anymore. You're canceled out by the corporatocracy. And so anyway, this is what we're doing, and we're getting off the ground. And so it's good that Keiko started running, and she's running as a candidate, and other people look like are stepping in for leadership. But the thing is that what our main concern is that there is a distinct difference between the people who are in the Green Party who think they're just Sierra Club members working in the Green Party, and we want the Green Party to be we want to have a mass base so we can be serious. And the only way you're going to have a mass base is cultivate and show to the working class that we are the new working class party.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim.
Who are the three with you?
Renee Eames, John Martin, and Mike Gregory.
Any further discussion on GPUS?
No.
Hearing none, we're going to move on. Number 13, Green Party Hawaii candidates for the 2014 elections. So, who do we have running in 2014? Julie Jacobson.
I'm just gonna make it real brief, but you probably all know that Keiko made her, well,
Yes.
okay, I'm here now. I'm just gonna name the people who have contacted us because they're not necessarily all candidates yet, but we have this kind of flurry of recent inquiries. So we have Keiko Bond, who is, and I'm sorry if she hasn't filed, I don't understand that part, but she told us she was filing this week. If it's early next week, but it's for sure that she's a candidate. We have, and I don't know, he was on Skype with us to begin with, but kind of an exciting new person. We've got his membership, and we actually have our candidate selection interview form completed by him. But just I'll give you the name of the person, and if you're still with us, Cedric, that's good. It's Cedric Gates from the Waianae community, a young man of 20 who's been honored for lots of things he's done, and sounds like a grassroots kind of person. But we'll find out more on him, but I wanted you all to know the name. Help me about Les
Iskovich.
Interested in running for governor, and then I want to say interested in running for governor as well is Jim Brewer. As a practical matter, we want our governor's candidate as well as a lieutenant governor's candidate. So, of course, this isn't our call entirely, but my thought is that one of you folks work that out, and you guys work it out and tell us what you want to run for.
That's what we're doing right now.
So I think that's being worked on. There's one more person, I don't know, I'll tell you the truth is she hasn't made up her mind and said she's gonna, so for Jeff and Nikki and Bob, keep posted, but am I saying right? Kim Koko Iwamoto, some of you may know, a dynamic woman who's been on the school board, has been appointed to the diversity committee of the governor. Really an interesting prospect, and an attorney as well.
Running for what?
US House 1.
Looking at US House 1. She said CD 1, and Council District 1, and she said, no, that would be Congressional District 1. So anyway, it's kind of exciting, it's brand new. She's thinking about joining us. She's kind of we're courting each other right now, let's put it that way. But she sounds very promising, and Bob looked up some of the stuff she's been doing, and it's kind of exciting. So.
Wonderful, that's 5 candidates. Bob Jacobson.
And I'm gonna say these are actually, honestly, all these people are like pretty good, solid, real candidates, and I'm really happy I'm not one of them. But I think all of us are gonna get a chance to help some great candidates this time around. And certainly, even on the local level, in our Hawaii County Council, it's a nonpartisan seat. Julie and I have been actively working towards a former reporter, Tiffany Edwards Hunt, for this particular district, and we're happy to work with her. And I would suggest if you, any of you have decent candidates in your district, like Brenda Ford in District 6 is running.
No,
she's turned out.
No, I'm saying that she's not running. She's been term limited, and Rick Abbott is running that district, and he's quite knowledgeable about salmon and water issues, and I think he looks pretty good. So I'm just look at your old local candidates and dig in and help those folks.
Thank you, Bob. Nikki, go ahead.
Reviewing 5 candidates, finally got 4. So I heard Keiko Bond for the House, Cedric Gates for governor.
No,
No,
State House 42.
48.
And then I did not hear Kim Coco, I didn't get her last name. Would you spell it?
Coco Iwamoto.
Kim.
Okay, State House 48.
Kim,
Last-
Yes.
Kim.
Kim, C-O-C-O, I-W-A-M-O-T-O. Kim, Coco Iwamoto.
Yeah, that's right, I can look that up, I got the Iwamoto, thank you. And then my question to Bob, so that's 4 candidates, and Bob mentioned it to me and we're done, and my question is, and before he answers, is Tiffany, member of the Green Party? I believe they have to be a member 30 days before they can run as a Green Party candidate, and also is Kim Coco Iwamoto a member of the Green Party?
All right, to answer the first part of your question, I said that I counted 5 candidates: Keiko, Jim Brewer, Cedric Gates, Les Iskovich, and Kim Coco Iwamoto. I did not mention anything about Tiffany. On the second,
You spell Les Iskovich's name, please.
Les Iskovich is L-E-S,
I-Z.
and last name is I-Z-C-O-V-I-C-H.
no, it's T-Z. It's Vitz,
Oh, pardon me, hang on, we have a correction possibly.
Iskovich.
Is it T?
I-Z,
No, it's,
I-T-Z,
yeah, I-T-Z.
I-T-Z,
Vitz,
V-I-T-Z,
yeah.
V, Les Vitz,
No, no,
He's gonna change his name.
it's I-C-Z.
Who's on first?
Yeah, this is a real, do you have it written down there, Bob? Do you have it?
We don't know what it is, we're having a discussion.
We'll email it to you.
We'll email it to you. But the second part of your question is whether Kim Coco Iwamoto had 30 days in. I don't know. Does anybody know?
No,
No, she does not.
and I suggest you read your bylaws.
So Kim Coco Iwamoto is not a Green Party member.
Not of 30 days.
Let's move on.
I have a question. So Kim Coco Iwamoto is not a member of the Green Party.
Let's just move on.
Is she a member of the Green Party?
Okay, hold on. We have okay, the question is Tiffany a member of the Green Party? Julie would like to speak.
First of all, Tiffany, that's not in the issue here. We only said we're helping her. It has nothing to do with the Green Party.
Yeah.
Bob just mentioned it, so forget
Bob
about it.
didn't.
Then the issue with each of these candidates is, it's absolutely right that except for Keiko, every single one of them did not join the party 30 days before this meeting. They've all joined somewhere in the last week, basically. So we have a membership emailed, we have a signed membership form from Les, and we have emailed information from the others, and we have Kim not even deciding yet if she's going to be a Green Party member, but with a deadline of, before June 1st, she said she would let the party. So all I think that though, Nikki, is that no one here is making any decisions, candidate selection or any of that. It's more to let the people know here who some options are. Then I do agree that we need to have our coordinating committee take the process, the next step, and get interview forms from those we don't have, make a decision about the 30 days, bunch of stuff, but we don't need to keep this group figuring that out. But we could maybe set a time for our next conference meeting. Yeah, and
And I've
that's
got a
it
point
for
of
me.
information on that too,
And Bob has a point of
after
information.
Jim.
So, but Jim asked us, oh, well, all right.
Jim
Well,
Brewer.
maybe we should just go to Bob. and-
Yeah, what I wanted to say on this is that, my thing is that, for instance, this governor, lieutenant governor thing. After Les and I talk about it, he may be the governor candidate, I might be the lieutenant governor candidate, or whatever. But the point is, if everyone becomes a member and we look at them and see that, you know, I mean, in other words, make an exception. If we can get 5 good, viable candidates running in this election, you know, we worked really hard to get a 10-year ballot status. We got it. Now, if we don't have a candidate this year, we're going to have one. We're going to have Keiko. But the thing is, if we can get some more candidates, then that's going to look good. Anyway, that's my thought.
Bob Jacobson.
And for all those that are interested, section 9.2 of our bylaws, authority of state coordinating committee and county committees, section number 5 reads, upon exceptional circumstances, the state coordinating committee may waive the 30 days prior to filing deadline for submission of an application for review and 30-day membership requirement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bob. All right, let's move on.
I'm assuming we lost Cedric on the.
Okay, Nikki.
Yeah, I think that with the phone, sometimes it's unclear, everyone said they like what I'm saying. So clarification for Julie, I did not say, I just was inquiring. The reason I'm asking, because I don't believe anyone there is from Maui. There is a great candidate here. I spoke to her before she filed, and she is of the Democrat Party Environmental Committee. And I keep people asking how come I haven't been. I said I support her, but I haven't been more strongly supporting her. She is great, inside and outside. It's been a real button for me, not being able to speak up so strongly for her at farmers union meetings, at shaka meetings, and other meetings. So it does play a difference here. My question only is this: if someone is a member of the Green Party or not. Now, as far as I know, Cedric has applied and is a member of the Green. Jim Brewer has been a Green as long as me. So they are Green Party people. There are nonpartisan races for council. Now that I'm not in office, I'm considering putting my name in for a council seat on Maui. That is nonpartisan and the incumbent is unopposed. So it's just a point of information. We all will support people who are green, but it makes a difference for the National Party and the Green Party of Hawaii if someone is actually a member of the Green, and those people that have been a member for a while know the story of Joe Bertram, who helped found this party, but then decided to run as a Democrat and was in the state house for 4 years, 2 terms, but Green Party could take absolutely no credit because he was a Democrat. So I understand we always want people like Gary Lusher and other people who are not Greens that are Democrats. I'm not against that, I'm not supporting them. I just wanted to know if people are actual members, and Jim Brewer's a member, Keiko's a member, Cedric's a member. Thank you.
Thank you.
Les is a member.
Let's move on now to number 14, Green Party Hawaii website discussion. I had set up the standard website a couple of years ago, just very basic. It posts basic contact information. And we get maybe once a month, we'll get a new member, potential new member, maybe once every 2 months, and we always respond to them. Now, Jeff Turner has been advocating a new website. Would you like to speak on that, Jeff?
No, not especially.
All right, that is we have a new national sponsored website under discussion. We've been talking about the teleconferences. Any comments on the website?
My only comment
Nikki?
My only comment is that it is really sad how bad our website is. It's gotten worse. I want to thank Mark for what he did, because at least we have something. I still thank him for that. It's got our names, our numbers, our contacts, and a bylaws in there. If people are aware of a great website and another website, so anything we can do, and sadly someone has offered her volunteer for the website has gotten sick, and when she is better, she still is interested. So Jeff, if there's a national thing we can hook into, we really need to look at that, having a website that is interactive, because there's a lot of chatter and traffic on the Facebook site.
All right, thank you, Nikki, and we'll bear that in mind, and I know Jeff's interested in that and promoting that, and we'll keep that up. Anything else on the website? Seeing none, gonna move on to number 15, old business. Does anybody have any old business to discuss?
I'm sure Nikki will.
Hearing none, move on to number 16, new business. Anybody have any new business? Flying,
One question about old business, actually, I was writing something
Who called that?
about the law enforcement body of keeping up with
So what's?
could you, okay, what's your new, your old business, Nikki? What was it again?
about the court case that we filed with Keiko about against the state elections committee. Does anybody following that or has any update?
I haven't seen anything on the internet, but Bob,
Okay, as far as I know, can you hear me, Nikki?
Yeah, clear to me, thank you, Bob.
Good. The last I heard was that our attorney Lance Collins, who's been very helpful throughout, did state that we have basically succeeded at the Supreme Court level and it's been sent back. The case was initially dismissed and the Supreme Court said, no, there's a case here, and that Kelvin Say has not lived in his district, well, perhaps ever, as far as we know. And he doesn't live there right now, and there's also some major campaign spending violations on his part that we encourage them to try to file some felony charges against him, like this local committee did here against Stephen Yamashiro, and got a felony conviction on former Mayor Yamashiro. So I think that Kelvin Say's problems may be even bigger than his residency problems, and some of the other issues of not having Keiko's name on the ballot in the precincts that she was running in, and having other people's names on those ballots who were not in the district or running those areas certainly presents a problem. And certainly running out of ballots at most of the stations in Keiko's district was problematic. So the other shoe hasn't fully dropped on that court case yet, and although we've helped to the tune of about $125 so far, I've donated some and I'm in favor of other people helping with the case. I think that Keiko did not want any more money from the party at all. She specifically requested that it now be held as a general court case for all the people in that district, in particular who have standing and that want to work on that. We don't want to politicize the case any more than necessary at this point, and so I will try to get more updates on that to those people who have emails, and I will leave it at that. Thank you.
thank you, Bob, for that update on the case. Any other, since we're still on old business, any more old business? Hearing none. New business. Any new business? Again. We are moving on to number 17, wrap up. We've had, an interesting meeting. We've had a lot of issues we've had to deal with. I think we've dealt with them fairly. Nobody's ever happy when when there's contentious issues, but I think we've done a good job. We've had a good meeting. This is a difficult conversation with Nikki, but we were able to make it through. And I thank everybody for coming. I'd like to go for announcements. Any announcements, Jeff Turner?
Yeah, just tell Nikki that I'm telling the visitors here about Green Horizon. I'm sure he knows about, Nikki, I'm telling people about Green Horizon magazine. This is an interesting quarterly journal. If you haven't heard of it, get it. It's really good writing from some green leaders from around the country and maybe outside the country. Leaders like John Resenbrink that was at the founding and has been a poli-sci professor and written some books, and other folks, a fellow that's running for governor of New Jersey, I think, or Maryland. And I find it very stimulating reading good thoughts. Green Horizon.
Jeff, could you show that to the camera?
Green Horizon Magazine. Oh. Thank you, Jeff Turner.
Thank you.
Any further announcements? Yes.
I
Sorry.
would like to announce that my name is Carrie Marks, and I'm running for County Council District 2 here on Hawaii Island.
That was Carrie Marks. Let me put her. I'm sorry, Carrie.
I'm Carrie. Hi, Nikki. And I'm running for County Council District 2 on this island. So
What is the geography of District 2?
downtown. It's Jay Yoshimoto's termed out seat.
Yeah.
So it's the Wailuku River over to Banyan and then up around the whole saddle, all the middle downtown. So thank you. Good luck.
Good luck, Carrie.
Say, I think Carrie would be wonderful, and, you know, got a challenging district, but, I'm not quite sure how much time I can put into the whole thing, but anyone who can put in a bunch of time and get some sun. I'm a firm believer for new candidates is name recognition, and you could practically be Hitler on the inside, but if you got the name recognition, you can win. So it's a doable, manageable. I love these names that have 4 or 5 letters, 1 syllable, more or less. I don't know how we're going to do that. I think a name change might be the answer. But at any rate, good luck. Carrie's a worthy candidate, and for those who can, we should help her.
Thanks, and Carrie, thank you for all you've done today. You know, with implementing. Yes, Nikki. All there was is Jeff Turner, I believe you understand, was talking about Green Horizon Magazine, and then Carrie. Yeah, Carrie was announcing her her candidacy for County Council District 2.
Oh, yeah, right, great. What's up, Carrie?
She's nodding her head and giving a
Solidarity.
fist, solidarity shake there.
Right, great.
Yes, we have a further announcement from
Renee Default. Yeah. Since there's folks here from Oahu, I've come to speak at the University of Hawaii Medical School over there, but that I'd like to sort of branch out instead of just scientists and doctors. I'd really like to get out in the communities. So if you know of any groups that want to hear about how what we eat interacts what's in our environment to create conditions of disease. This is a new field called epigenetics. There's only 2 of us in Hawaii, Dr. Monikea at the University of Hawaii Medical School and myself. And so, this is the children's future. If we want to have a clean, safe planet, one of the first things we have to do for our children, for their brain development, so that we don't have this increasing autism and ADHD and everything happening, is we have to clean up our food supply. And so this new paper we have coming out refers to the toxins in our food supply as invasive toxic substances. So, and I'm not talking, pesticides we all know about, but there's other things in the food supply. So, please.
Do you have a brochure?
I have a card, I'll give you a card, okay?
Thank you, Renee. What's your last name?
Default, D-U, F as in Frank, A-U-L-T, and I'm a FDA whistleblower. You can look me up on the internet, pretty famous.
Thank you, Renee.
Hey, thank you.
Round of applause.
Test that.
Any further announcements? Nikki Wananda.
Right, realize I mentioned a couple of times, but I realize that people on the Big Island and in the district for a while might not be aware of. Everyone is aware of what council administers on Hawaii County and on Hawaii County. Now we have a proposal and it has discussed it over Shaka, it's sustainable agriculture for testing INA. You can look it up, Shaka movement. What they decided to get an initiative on the ballot, and we need 20% of the people who voted and signatures, but there's rules that half of them are not going to count, so it's hit and miss. But this is, I went to, I've gone to meetings, I always put input to the Green Party, when someone stood up leaning their own political party, I had to remind people that they're Green. For some people, for young people that have never been involved in politics, they're actually going out getting the signatures on it. And you don't know how challenged it is to get an initiative on a ballot. I don't know about people in Howard County has never had an initiative. So I would invite people to keep up to see if that initiative on the ballot. It's to have a moratorium on open testing and growth of GMOs until the approved states. And the Department of Health, Maui District Representative, he's a state officer, but he's been active as an individual. He's one of the 5 people who signed this petition. So it's just, it's the most exciting thing going on here. I've got a meeting with 500 people, and I just want to say one of them are Green Party members. Everyone that signed the petition has to be a registered voter. So you understand that 500 people that could be potentially Green Party activists, and I'm always mentioning it, and a lot of people just don't want to have anything to do with parties, or they're still scooping around with the Democrats, like this great candidate. She's a wonderful candidate, however, is running as the Democrat primary against Ron Baker. So I just wanted to mention that to everybody, and again, thanks for all the efforts of everybody. It's been a delight to be chair for the last 2 years.
Nikki, thank you for all you've done, and I assume you'll continue to volunteer with us, but we all thank you for everything you've done, Nikki. Further announcements? Hearing none, it is 3:55, and we are adjourning the 2014 Green Party of Hawaii Convention. Thank you all.
Yay.
Thanks, Nikki.